Okay, hello extraction shooter fans. Now today I'd fully intended on doing a video reviewing the Delta Force Alpha, somewhat in a slash comparison of that in DMZ, but when I tried to log in today, the security update has stopped the ability to use the Steam controller overlay, which is a little bit unfortunate, but this is a good time to take a pause and we'll have a bit of a talk about the game and see what you guys that haven't had a chance to experience yet can expect from the Delta Force extraction mode. So first up, let's have a talk about the UI and the menus. I've heard some negative feedback around this, but to be perfectly honest with you, I don't see how this would be any different from anything like DMZ. There's just more to navigate. Obviously this game does have a stash where you bring your gear out and you can do lots of different barters within the black site and upgrading that, and also the auction house. So for those of you that are coming from DMZ, I can't see this really being too much more different. In the menus, there's just going to be more of it to navigate. So talking about the black site, think of that as the forward operating base from DMZ. There are unlocks and challenges that go along with it. You can extract items that work towards that, but you don't have to find them in-game. If there's an item that you can't find, you can buy it through the merchant or the auction house. So I feel like leveling up is not tied to RNG like some of the things that you had in DMZ, where you had to find GPUs and some of those rare items. You can buy them, so you won't get stuck with your leveling up. Speaking on level ups and mission rewards, they've got some quite good mission rewards, armor, guns, things that you will use in a round, not those token throwaway things for your contraband stash as in DMZ. So there's some good motivation there for you to get stuck in and do the missions, because there's rewards that go along with them. Next we'll touch on bots. I think the bots have been done fairly well. They do hit fairly hard and do a bit of damage, but there's not an abundance of them like the ones in DMZ. It's not like trying to go through Akdar Village or Seraph Bay and you're just continually getting peppered by bots. There's not so many of them, but if they do hit, they do a bit of damage. The other thing I've seen other content creators talking about is AI players, which some people may not be looking forward to, but I think it's got to happen eventually in online gaming, where they can use that instead of skill-based matchmaking, just to ease people into the game and get you started. I found that when I was on the lower ranks, like bronze, I believe a lot of the players probably were AI, but it's good for that map knowledge, learning how the game functions, and just getting a bit of confidence in general. And then obviously, as you go higher up the ranks, you're going to be playing against other players. But I think it's a good alternative to skill-based matchmaking, and it also gives the developers the opportunity to keep the servers populated. Next on my list is gunplay and movement. I think we can talk about these at the same time. I'd heard someone say on YouTube that the movement and the gunplay is like one of the older Call of Duties, and I kind of get what they're talking about. It's not quite so fast and twitchy like the newer Call of Duties. I think that tactics and angles is going to be very important in this game, so if you're a little bit more of a slower player and you did like DMZ, you will like the movement and the gunplay. Now, I can't speak for how this game will feel when the controller support rolls out, but using the Steam overlay, the guns did have recoil. Every gun had their own little unique quirk. They didn't feel all the same. I have played around a little bit in the firing range with mouse and keyboard, and although I'm not a mouse and keyboard player, you did have recoil using a mouse. And I guess the only other thing I want to touch on with the movement and the gameplay mechanics is the mantling and the sliding. So far there's only one character, and that's D-Wolf, that has the ability to slide, which was a little bit funny, especially coming from Call of Duty, as that's sort of a core function. And some of the mantling, I got a bit confused at times of where you could and couldn't mantle. There's a lot of places on the maps where you feel like you should be able to mantle and get up, but you can't. And I'm guessing that's tied in with the map design. So on map design, with the maps that we have available in the Alpha, Zero Dam, Leilali Grove, I haven't played the Space City map yet, but the two first maps play quite differently. Zero Dam is almost like a big multiplayer map. It feels like you have lanes and corridors, which is a bit of a double-edged sword, particularly playing solo. I don't feel like you can get flanked quickly like you can in DMZ, and you can hold angles, but it does mean you're going to be going head-to-head most of the time with full teams. On Leilali Grove, it's a big open map, probably more reminiscent of Al Mazrah, but obviously with the slower game movement you're going to have to be using cover a lot more. But I do find with the foliage not being a big open desert map like El Mazrah, you can play the bush strats and hide if you need to, which I did have done a few times. So another thing to consider on the Delta Force maps versus DMZ maps is elevation. It's probably not as easy to access high ground in some places in Delta Force, so I think this is going to reward players that really have good map knowledge, which I'm sure is what some players do want to hear. But overall, I think they've taken a good direction for their map design. It's going to give us some variety in our gameplay and it'll keep us interested for a while. I'll just briefly touch on servers and connections and how my experience has been. Obviously this is a North American and European alpha test. I live in New Zealand, so the lowest ping that I was getting has been around 170, anywhere up to about 230 is normal, so NA servers. But it's felt really good compared to Call of Duty anyway. I don't know if that's placebo or not. Obviously just been looking forward to the new game experience. It's felt good, and I am optimistic when they roll this out to servers worldwide. Next, I just wanted to touch on solo versus squad play. So far I'm about 20 hours in and most of that has been solo. I do think this has been viable. There's no prox chat in the game, so you don't have to worry about giving yourself away if you are playing with a team. I kind of do wish there was a self-revive option for solo players. That may come later, I don't know, but it would be a nice addition. The healing is a little bit slower, so once again, if you're playing solo, if you're playing your angles correctly and you get some downs, it is going to slow down the momentum of the other team. So very optimistic of the viability of solo play in the game coming up. So just to sum up, I do believe this is going to appeal to DMZ players, the ones that would chip away at the missions, the ones that got excited about doing the unlocks for their forward operating base. There's a lot to keep you busy here. With PvP players, PvP is still a good experience. I don't know if the gameplay will be quick enough to keep you guys interested long term, but the combat is satisfying, so I do believe there's a place here for a variety of players. And other than that, I think you guys should give this a crack. It's going to be free to play, and even if you are an extremely die-hard supporter of DMZ, I think that competition is healthy. I don't think we're going to see anything else in terms of DMZ or a DMZ 2.0 from Activision until there's a threat to someone else taking the player base. So I think it's important to support other games. Okay, so I'll probably wrap it up there. 7.5 minutes of rambling from some random, and that's probably more than enough. I'll keep you guys in the loop as to if not I can get the controller back up and running. Anyway, until next time guys, take care, and as always remember to shoot, loot and scoot.